Studios digital network. That is youtube.com/Sire Studios, facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire, twitch.tv/Secrets of the Sire, and secretsofthesire.com. Find this podcast and all of our previous podcasts on all major apps. That's Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, Google, Anchor, iHeart, you name it. We're out there. We're also part of the Castworks Comedy Network. Tonight on Secrets of the Sire, DC Comics in Crisis, Why Everyone's Scared of Disney, and a Walking Dead Resurgence. I am your host, Michael Dolce, as always, joined by my co-host extraordinaire, Mr. Hassan Godwin. How you doing, sir?
It's Wednesday.
Yes. Yes, it is. It's Wednesday. I've been listening to some of our old stuff, by the way, before we get into anything. And I think there was an energy to what our old stuff used to be. So we're gonna try to recapture that. Or maybe I just feel like there was energy because
I've been told that.
We're just completely tired all the time now, I think that's what happens. I think that was for me, it was like half a kid. And it was, pre 2 kids and, just crazy work and all that fun stuff. But we're going to persevere here. And tonight we actually get to talk comics, but in a larger sense, kind of tied into the entire entertainment industry, which we don't always get to do. Unfortunately, this is not on a high note. So I think we're going to begin on something kind of cool instead. This is our opening credits. Sonic booms again. In a tight race between Paramount's Sonic the Hedgehog and Disney's Call of the Wild, it was the Hedgehog that beat out Harrison Ford and a CGI dog at the North American box office this past weekend. Sonic, the CGI and live-action hybrid, based on the popular Sega game, zoomed past the 100 million milestone at the domestic box office after collecting $26 million in its second weekend, bringing it to a total of 106. Internationally, Sonic grossed $38 million in 16 markets over the weekend. In contrast to what we've been talking about the last few weeks with Birds of Prey, is this shocking? Does this shock you?
No.
How well Sonic's doing?
No. I mean, it's surprising. It's unexpected. Because everybody naysayed that movie like tremendously. It was almost in Catch territory.
Oh yeah,
when it first premiered. So that's surprising. It's pleasant, to have like a good story about success in the marketplace.
Yeah,
and in the marketplace, it's always dying.
And the video game curse, right? I mean, usually there's a video game movie curse.
They've overcome that somewhat in the past few, Tomb Raider. A couple of those movies have turned into genuine franchises that started out as video games. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, it did have that against it. It was like what being a Marvel movie used to be,
right?
In the old days. So yeah,
our audience I don't understand what that means.
Yeah, who the heck with them? Like the old Punisher, the old Punisher movie. Remember, back in the day, there was like a Punisher movie. There was that Captain America movie that was bad. That was done by almost like Roger Corman, and the Fantastic Four movies. Those movies that were done just to hold on to license.
To date, that Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie is the best Punisher movie that's ever come out, and actually, it wasn't half bad. Actually, I really enjoyed it.
No, that's an opinion. That's not bad.
They had that strip club scene. I was like 10 years old. It was awesome.
Anyway,
I liked I was 10 years old. We didn't have the internet back then. You had to get it wherever you could. Marvel movie.
All right. Anyway. So anyway, that was basically what being a Marvel movie was back then. It's, the video game movies were relegated to that kind of that dark, miserable fate up until Bryan Singer came along, and then there was some viability in the Marvel property. Actually, though, modern day cinema success, cinematic comic book adaptation success is the house that Blade built. But nobody ever gives it any credit. So
Very true. Very true. Well,
anyway, no, I'm happy for Sonic. You know, I'm not I'm surprised. I'm not shocked. I'm happy for the property. You know, whatever helps the medium.
Whatever helps. All right, this is moving on to our next credit here. Hello, Batman. Set photos offer a good look at the new Batsuit and Batcycle. This kind of came out Thursday last week, so we obviously had to wait a whole week to talk about it. But first of all, the photos that came out, I don't think people realize this, were the stunt person as well. It wasn't actually Robert Pattinson on the bike or anything like that. It was a stunt man. Some news websites, like Digital Trends from our good friend Rick Marshall, suggested too it has a throwback to the very, very early Detective Comics from like the 30s with the pointed ears, the ears back all the way, and things like that. What was your take when you saw the photos? I know you were not a huge fan.
No, I still don't care. I've seen too many iterations of Batman to be excited. Like, when the movie comes out, if the movie's good and the movie has a good through line, and the character Bruce Wayne and whatever his pathology is and whatever his struggle is throughout the film, if that is all a solid story, a decent through line to justify me watching yet another iteration of frickin' Bruce Wayne again, then fine, I'll be all for it. I'll be a champion of it. Well, I can do that. Everybody knows I can compartmentalize because I did not like the Nolan Batman, but I liked the Nolan Joker. And I like the Nolan Joker better than the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. So it's always a mixed bag. It's always a complicated situation with me and Batman. But I just don't. I mean, okay, there's a guy in a suit. The suit looks okay. There's Batman on a motorcycle. The motorcycle looks okay. I mean, okay. Who the heck cares? Yeah. I don't understand who gives a damn about Batman aesthetics.
Well, but that's the thing, though. So Batman is in Spider-Man territory now, right? I mean, we were saying the exact same thing before Spider-Man Homecoming came out. We're like, another Spider-Man movie. I'm not excited by this. People were more excited, and as it turned out, rightfully so, about the Into the Spider-Verse because it was different. It was a different take. But then Homecoming came out, and it turned out to be tremendous, and Far From Home actually even built on that.
I'm still not excited by Spider-Man, but I mean, look, those movies are good.
No, at this point, the movies have been so solid that I'm excited for the third, especially now that Sony and Marvel have kind of like made up for it. So I kind of feel like I have to see what is out there. If the Robert Pattinson Batman is.
Yeah, I don't understand how you ask me these questions, and then when I give you my answers, you're like, yeah, but this, I'm like, okay.
because we're on a show where we
I know, but it's
talk back and forth.
Then give your opinion.
I am giving my
context
opinion.
Of yourself.
I am giving it.
Don't and butt me. In my opinion,
I will end but you.
No,
as much as I need to.
Stop doing it. It's.
In fact,
obnoxious.
We had more and but back in the old days.
Yes, if you want to get into that discussion, we'll do that
which was last year. All right, we're gonna segue out of the Batman talk, but it's a great segue because it's in the DC world to our main topic tonight, which is Crisis on Earth. Dan DiDio, DC Comics in Crisis. How 5G was a crisis too far. Word broke very late, either Friday night or Thursday night. I can't remember exactly which one it was. Dan DiDio, for anybody out there who only understands these comic book characters because of the movies, was the co-publisher of DC Comics. And he was the figurehead, the main story driver. Jim Lee is the co-publisher, but from all accounts, Jim Lee's not as hands-on as Dan DiDio. And having had personal experience with Dan DiDio, too, he was very passionate about DC Comics. He was very passionate about the line, very passionate about the characters. And he has spearheaded DC Comics stories for the past 15 years or so. Possibly even longer than that. I mean,
yes, a dubious resume. If you're, various camps out there.
Here's the thing, right? He is, okay, yes, a dubious resume, but a lot of fans may not have liked his choices. They might not have liked his decisions, but ultimately, he was not afraid to take chances. He was not afraid to continually reboot the line. And apparently, the latest reboot. Now, giving some more context to this, and this is how we need to frame it for the comic book movie audience. AT&T recently purchased Time Warner. So AT&T now owns all of these properties, these IPs, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Aquaman, Superman, all these great DC comics. DiDio's plan, called 5G, was another reboot, which I know, it's both easy for me to talk about DC Comics and also difficult. It's easy for me to talk about them because I'm not a huge DC fan, never been a huge DC fan, so I don't have a loyalty to all this stuff. I don't really have a bias in terms of, oh, this is lousy or this is bad. I mean, all of it sounded pretty standard comic book fare to me. But this also makes it difficult because I don't have a horse in the race, really. I just, I'm kind of curious to see how it goes. But apparently, this is coming from Comics Beat. No matter how many times DiDio was promoted, he continued to micromanage the DCU, and his latest attempt was 5G. 5G was going to fast forward everything and reboot DC Comics Ultimate style. So there was talking about having a Black Batman, different variations on classic characters. That Black Batman was actually specifically mentioned in a lot of the articles. So I don't know how true or false that is, but that was one of the things that they were talking about, making it more contemporary and doing an Ultimate line thing. And ultimately, AT&T kind of said, all right, enough is enough, because especially when they're gearing up for a new Robert Pattinson movie and they're gearing up for a new Wonder Woman, 1984, it just, they said enough is enough. They also, in recent months, said morale had plummeted amid frequent shakeups in responsibilities, frequent departures. Pat McCallum, former Wizard guy, he had just been made head of the whole DCU, quit after Thanksgiving. Most recently, Alex Antone quit, taking a job at Skybound. Then there was also a whole bunch of stuff, but apparently right up until last Friday, Dan DiDio was the co-publisher. In fact, he was going to be talking at C2E2, which you can check out Sire Studios at this weekend. And he was going to give his co-publisher panel with Jim Lee. So I know I was kind of shocked when I heard it, but not really, I guess. I don't know. I mean, were you kind of stunned at the news, or what's your thoughts there?
No, I'm not really ever surprised by these crazy, changing of the guards in the comic book industry.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, it happens so often. And a lot of times, if you're not paying 100% attention, a lot of times you didn't even know that so-and-so was in particular position.
Yeah.
So you find out that they got fired.
Yeah.
And they moved along, or they quit for some reason. So, I mean, like, he's got a large resume. He's been a long-time contributor,
Mm-hmm.
for years and years. He's been in the industry, like, forever.
Yeah.
I remember hearing his name, like, way back when I just started getting into the industry.
I got to interview him a couple times at Wizard. I mean, he was always very genuine. He was great to talk to. You could tell he was genuinely, he wasn't a suit, he was genuinely, like, he loved the characters, Whether or not you agreed with his decisions.
Yeah, but I mean, he
came from the right place.
Presided over New 52 and Rebirth and stuff like that. Yeah. A lot of that stuff was, I mean, now it's become a joke. The continuity of DC has become a joke under his. Which to me is always amazing too. Because,
right, that's the thing that fascinates me though, because I remember back then when New 52 came out, I said, "Oh, they're rebooting the whole line." Because look, comic book time is a funny thing, right? I mean, Batman has been around for 80 years, and he's maybe aged 10 years. However, Dick Grayson, who was his sidekick, has also aged 10. Has also managed to age and be a grown man. And Tim Drake now is also a grown man. And it's like you have all these iterations of sidekicks that are now become full-fledged heroes on their own. But meanwhile, Batman's like still kind of 25. Maybe 30, I mean, if
now that Robert Pattinson, I mean, he's always a man in his, like, he was always a middle-aged man as far as I'd seen him. He hasn't been advancing out of middle-agedom, but he's always been a man a little behind his weight class, like he's been a little behind his prime. You know, he's not at peak. Like Batman Year One, those other, you know, the early Batmans, it's always something that we look back on.
Yeah.
From continuity perspective, that, you know, like, oh, those were the years he didn't know what he was doing, really. He almost got killed a whole bunch of times, but he was in his physical prime.
Right.
And now he knows what he's doing, but he uses a lot of gadgetry and a lot of technology to keep himself, you know, in pace with the,
right,
you know, with the criminal underworld.
Right.
You know? And also, there's been a lot more embracing of recent times of the fact that Batman's a psychopath. You know, like,
sure.
Like,
well,
people, I mean, you know, but you have to, for context, you have to understand how that perspective has changed to, like, you know, Batman's crazy, you know, from him being one of the Justice League, you know?
Sure.
Now, he's still one of the Justice League, but I mean, it's always played with a little bit of, yeah, but there's something a little off about the guy dressed like a bat, you know? Whereas he used to be, like, you know, one of the tried and true, you know, members. So, I mean, times have changed and a different reflection on all these characters. I don't. Well, there's a term that they use. It's called queer baiting.
Okay.
It's you know, whenever you throw in a LGBTQ character, just to satiate that particular aspect of the audience, or so that you could click a box of representation.
Sure.
But the character has really no agency in the story. The story really doesn't reflect on them, so it doesn't matter. It never really matters. Like, kind of like, even though I don't want to accuse her of doing this, like, it's like saying that Dumbledore was gay, and it's like, okay, you know, like, you know, I don't know what, you know. So that's that's what is referred to. I don't use the term myself, but that's referred to as queer baiting. And a lot of times we got diversity baiting. You know, making Batman into a black man. Why? I mean, I get it for kids and for diversity and stuff like that, and I understand it, but it's going to do is piss everybody off.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to do compare the merits of this or that, or talk about, if you want to put Bruce Wayne to the side and make Batman Beyond black, make McGinnis a black kid.
Sure.
Instead of trying to say that Batman himself is black, or that you know, Bruce Wayne died and the black guy took over for, I just don't see what the benefit is, unless he comes from one of the stereotypical, trifecta of what America thinks being black is, which, you know, only a non.
I know everything.
Could write it.
I know everything about that. I am an authority on that.
Yes. As I am on the Jewish population, you know, I know everything. I could definitely tell you everything about all their cultures and stuff like that, and the nuance. And they don't really need to hire a Jewish person to tell a Jewish story. I can do it. I'm good. I live in New York. I'm done. You know.
Oh well, that's it. You're good.
Right, but
they like their bagels.
Yeah, they like bagels. They like the lox. Whatever a lock is.
They like the lox. We just got canceled, by the way.
Yes. But we're basically using it as a trope. The fact that we don't know anything.
Doesn't matter. We just got quoted. We're on all the news websites, as if we're that important.
Anyway, the bottom line is, it doesn't make any sense to. I don't see any sense into doing that as a reason to do it. There's a really great line in Orphan Black, which is one of my favorite shows, where, you know, one of the characters says to the other character, "I didn't know you were gay," and the character says, "You know, that's the least interesting thing about me."
Oh, okay.
You know? So it's like, yeah, you know, being black, that's not a story point. That's not a plot device. Being black, you know. Yeah. So it is a nuance and an aspect of a character, but it's not the character in and of itself. So saying, "Oh, black man is bad," I called him black man. Saying, that's where they need to go. Yeah,
next.
if you had guts, you would call him black man. You know, you would just say he's black man. You would have him in an entire bat suit or whatever, and just take it.
Copyright Secrets of the Sire. First issue debuting 6 months from now. It's Black Man.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We'll sell 1 million of first issues, and then
let's go to Indiegogo with this. What are we doing?
Yeah, we got it. We got this.
Oh my God.
We shouldn't have announced.
Cha-ching!
But I mean, look, just to do that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make now the outrage about it doesn't make any sense either. So it's all absurd. If you're not, like everybody's like, I'm not racist, but fuck, making even black men, whatever. Yeah, whatever. That's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Changing everybody's favorite characters doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But being mad about a change makes sense. Being mad about the kind of change that was made is redundant.
Right.
Redundancy.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not exonerating the fans for being upset about it, being upset about particular things. But I understand them being upset. I understand it's a hot button issue. I don't know why you'd want to step in it if you didn't have to. Now, we don't publish nationwide. We're not nationwide publishers. We don't know what nuances it takes, what concessions you have to make in order to make your product viable in a global market. And we, regardless of what a lot of people want to say or whatever your political position is, we do live in a global market now. We are a global economy. So how do you stay relevant in a global market? You go from the American market, where it is pretty much dominated by young white males, which you cater to a global market where white males are a minority. So how do you have things that are licensed things that are relevant?
Funny though? Do you know what's funny though? And I know, I'll let you finish your point as well too. When people were talking next episode, next week, Hassan finishes this point. No, actually, if you listen back to our shows, you always finish your point. You realize this. You always complain you never do. But then you always end up
press through. Darn it!
I'm just merely saying.
Because I'm defiant, and I will get my point across.
And I stand by the fact that you're like, how dare you interrupt me? And then I will start saying something, and you'll be like, but, and then you'll interrupt me.
So that is part of the dynamic, and I'm proud of it. I'm very proud of this.
See, there's that energy. There's that retro energy.
Retro energy. I'm the one who took the energy away. Would you make your point? Make the point you interrupted me to make.
Marvel gets a lot of flack for making. Marvel gets a lot of flack for being very progressive in terms of altering characters from the past into different things.
They get the bulk of it.
However, when it from our sources inside Marvel, when it comes time for outside the comic industry people to want to license these characters, they don't want Falcon, Captain America. They don't want Jane Thor. We want Steve Rogers Captain America. We want Thor. We want, they want the most recognizable. And I think AT&T in this particular case also looked at this and said, wait, no. And once he rolls it out at C2E2, and this is what Comics Beat, to give them credit, said, it makes it impossible to go back.
But here's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
How do you these same people who are saying, I don't want you to change the profile, these highly marketable licensed characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we want to sell them on this in this wide mass media market, right? Yeah. But then these same people are going to be looking at your company bottom line for publishing.
Right.
How many books did you sell?
Right.
And those characters aren't selling a lot of books either, which is why we keep getting New 52, and then Rebirth.
Well, DC in general,
Age of X-Men, all these things. Why we keep getting these like mass rebrandings, no matter what they do. So they're still not the books themselves are not enjoying the proliferation of all these licensed franchises throughout the global market. And so the publications, the source of all this material, is constantly trying to find ways to stay relevant and keep their sales up, because the same people who are yelling at them don't change anything because we're selling these and we're making billions of dollars off of these characters on these other markets are going to be coming around to them on a yearly basis going, wow, your bottom line has shrunk. We need you to cut 50% of your staff. We need you to, you know,
Right.
and they keep chokeholding the industry to the point where it's not going to be relevant anymore. It's just going to be a holding archive for all these old properties, which is what these, you know, conglomerations want it to be. You just hold on to these properties. You just provide content for when we need it for these various streaming services and movies
Right.
that we're going to do. And just be good custodians of these amazing properties, but don't do anything.
Right.
And you know, if they were like, we will support you as long as you know, maintain these characters, as long as you're good custodians, we will support the industry and we will support your staff. If they made those concessions, then we wouldn't have any problems.
Well, you bring up a lot of really good points. We're going to take a quick break because what you touched upon were two different things. One, there's rumors rampant after this went down as to what the future of DC Comics, the actual comic publishing label, is, with AT&T running it, whether or not it is viable. And then I want to throw this out to you as well, too. I mean, are we even going to be reading comics in 5 years? And I don't mean, are you going to be looking at sequential graphic novels, but comic books as we know it. You know, at what point is there an end date? Is there an end date coming up? We'll discuss when we return. Check out the all-new Sire Studios website, SireStudiosInc.com. Find all your back issues for The Sire, Mainstream, Undone, and more. And be on the lookout for news and announcements, convention appearances, and brand new podcasts coming to Sire Studios. That address again is SireStudiosInc.com. Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. As the commercial before just specified, I will be at C2E2. Sire Studios will be there, booth 106. So if you're around Friday, Saturday, Sunday, come check us out. We got some mainstream exclusives. We've got Descendant trade paperback. We got a whole bunch of stuff for sale. And you get to see this smiling face, which
no one cares, dude. You're gonna paint yourself as a superhero and whatever.
I didn't say I was gonna be a superhero. I just said I'll go sign some books.
Yeah, all right.
And sell some.
Okay.
Everything.
Superhero signing books, though. I wrote these books. I made these.
That's right.
I am a great man.
I made this. Which one was that? That was X-Files, right? At the end of X-Files?
Yes, that was Chris Carter. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we were talking before we went to break about the crisis at DC Comics, Dan DiDio, co-publisher, being let go, and what it means.
Yeah.
But in the larger sense, now since that's happened,
but you have remarks about a global market being relevant in a global market, right?
I do. Okay. But first, just to give it a little bit more context, the rumor mill then started churning, and unsubstantiated rumors. But here's the thing, right? 5G, this whole plan itself, had never been substantiated. In October, there were little glimpses. They were going to do a big marketing rollout for 5G. So what it actually was, we don't know. Plus, if you read even more about it, a lot of creators got their feathers ruffled. Scott Snyder wanted no part of it. Apparently, he has maybe more sway with AT&T. AT&T also, again, all of this is in the framework of Dan DiDio has new bosses. DC Comics has new bosses. It's AT&T. So what does this mean for the actual comic publishing line? So yes, there were crazy rumors that they would actually license out the characters to Marvel to actually handle the comic publishing end. And if they did that, you could have crossovers galore. They could inhabit the same universe for however long that lasts. I mean,
death now.
There's no. It's not substantiated. This is literally crazy rumors, nothing to back it up. That being said, IDW was doing Star Wars books for Marvel. They license out Star Wars books for IDW to do. It's not an unheard of thing where a company would sit there and say, you know what? And especially a corporation like AT&T has no skin in this game whatsoever. They're literally coming and going, we bought Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. Great. We want to make movies. We want to make TV shows. We want them to make us money doing this, but they don't have any, like, whereas Dan DiDio was not a suit, he was a fan of all this stuff. AT&T is a faceless corporation. they don't have any loyalty. They don't care about the 80 years of publishing. They don't care if all of a sudden they sit there and go, comics don't make us any money. We got the movies. We already got the characters. Why do we need to make comics? They could literally do this tomorrow. They could sit there and say, why are we making comics? Because comics don't make money. They very rarely make money. Kickstarter books are great, but even Kickstarter books, for the most part, you make enough to make another book.
Yeah, but I mean, let me ask you a question. Do you think if comics went away, if the source materials went away tomorrow and all the retailers closed and like Marvel and DC just closed their doors, do you think those movies would have any viability after that? I mean, maybe the Marvel ones would because they have an established universe, right? And they could try to push it as long as they could push it. But I don't think the DC universe has established itself enough that it could keep surviving these reiterations.
Do you want to know what the top-selling DC books were last year? Reprints of previous storylines. Retailers.
I understand that, but retailers would not be able to sustain their businesses off of reprints. So
of course not.
So, like, once those industries close, the retailers are going to close. They're going to move on to what else to hawking some other kind of wear, right?
Yes.
I mean, primarily.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just going to dwindle and die. I don't think the comic book medium would ever die. I mean, there's always going to be independence. There's always going to be people.
Well, it's also digital. I mean, you have things like Comicsology Unlimited where you can pay $10 a month and like, get everything. For the purposes of like wondering whether or not comics in themselves are going to go out of style. Right.
I don't think, like you were saying, like, will we be still reading comics in 10 years? I think so.
I hope so. But I don't think so. I mean,
so.
Think about it. The industry
will we be reading Marvel and DC 10 years from now? Maybe not. But I think we're going to...
I don't know.
I mean, the doors have never been as open as they are now for people to make these things on the absolute cheap,
But that's
quality commercial style, commercial quality properties or product. Excuse me. So I don't think that's going to go away. You still got people making vinyl records. It's not going to go away. You know, and it's way easier to make a comic book than to make a vinyl record. And you still have stores that sell vinyl.
True.
So,
but your cost to make a vinyl record is actually less the music's already recorded. The cost to make music has gone down. The cost to make comics has actually gone up if you think about it, right? I mean, in terms of the production that actually goes into it. A musician can go and use Pro Tools. You can get Pro Tools for $200. You used to have to spend $1 million to be in a studio to record your music.
Yeah, but an artist can use Photoshop.
An artist can. However, an artist needs to be paid a wage of some kind that is going to allow them to continue making.
You're talking about people doing comic books as a full-time job.
Yes. Yes.
But even the people who make vinyl don't do it as a full-time job.
Exactly right. Vinyl's a specialty. It's not a number.
I mean, but the point was, are they going to go away forever? I didn't specify that they were going to be a viable source of employment.
Right.
I'm just saying, if you're talking about, one thing at a time. If you're talking about the medium disappearing altogether, I don't think it's going to happen.
No, the medium.
If you're talking about it being a job, like if it's good, a way to mortgage your house or something.
I'm talking about the industry that we grew up loving. I mean, it's already almost gone, right? I mean, the heroes that we grew up idolizing.
Almost gone for so many times. It was almost gone in the 90s. It was almost gone. I mean, it's always on the brink of being gone. And I'm not saying that this means it won't go away.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's even if it does go away, it's been a burn that has been smoldering for 30 years. So even if it blinks out tomorrow, it's like, well, that's not a shock because it's always been on the verge of dying.
we talk about the gatekeepers being gone. And that has opened the floodgates for independent creators to go wild. But at the same time, and maybe I'll sound like a shill by saying it, but gatekeepers had a purpose too. They were there to filter quality material that could theoretically sell. They weren't always right. There's plenty of stories. I mean, the Harry Potter, for example, right? I mean, Harry Potter got turned down by 12 different publishers before it finally got a home, and it became the biggest selling book of all time, book series of all time. So, obviously there's faults in that, but with the gatekeepers going away, with the traditional outlets going away, I mean, yes, I agree with you. We're not going to see the end of comics, but we're definitely seeing at the end of what we grew up enjoying in terms of it? I mean, it's everything. I mean, look, we're not saying anything groundbreaking here.
It depends. It's the end of what you enjoy. If you just enjoy the comic book medium,
right?
Then which was how the question was posed. Are we still going to be reading comics 10 years from now? That's all you said.
On phones. We'll be reading them on phones. And I think
maybe not. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, we're still going to be, when the cassette tape comes out, are we still going to be listening to vinyl records in 2020? Everybody's going to say no.
Yeah.
Hell no, Yeah. And are they still going to make record players?
Right.
So that you could play these records in the year 2020?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Heck no. But they still do. I'm just saying the media in and of itself is always going to exist in some way. Every form of media that we've ever had still exists to this day. It is not the focal point of the medium. It's not the focal point of media.
Yeah.
It is a subset. It's a niche market. It's subculture, but it all survives. So if you're going to talk, I mean, there's millions and millions of people and billions of dollars invested in comic books. So are we still going to, is it still a delivery system for IP? Is it still a viable delivery system for IP? Is it an easy press kit to be put together? Someone could do a 6-page ash can and go around and hawk their movie script with it's taken place of concept art. It's hiring like Ralph McQuarrie so that everybody understands what the Star Wars movie is about. It's kind of the same thing. So it's not going to go away. It's not going to die. Right. But is there going to be an industry 10 years from now?
That's I guess the question is whether it's going to be an industry. Now, another thing that kind of spawned all this, and it's actually an article I found prior to all this news kind of going down, but the thought of Marvel taking over DC characters lends to this Variety article where basically the title of the article is "Why is everyone so scared of Disney?" And it's a really fascinating read, so you can go check it out. I got it on getpocket.com, but it was originally published through Variety, talking about with the entertainment giant growing taller, we must begin to question the future of film. And I'm going to throw comics in there as well, too. And what their argument is that people don't realize that by acquiring Fox, and then if they were to also, and again, they wouldn't necessarily be acquiring the film rights to DC Comics and things like that, but they'd be steering the stories. Variety argues Disney doesn't just suddenly own all the properties; it owns all the mythologies. There are very limited amount of mythologies still available outside of Disney's control now, and they own it. They own Star Wars, they own Marvel, they own Avatar. The article kind of says what's left on the table: Godzilla, the shards of Harry Potter. There's nothing outside of Disney of substantially of any value in terms of mythology. And is that a good thing or a bad thing? I posed it on Facebook. What would your reaction be if Marvel started publishing DC Comics? And some people were like,
what was the consensus?
You know what? Some people were like, this is great. That would be awesome, because they look at the quality that Marvel generally puts out. And I think the quality is, I think DC is on par with Marvel in terms of quality. You might not like the content, but the production quality is on par with it.
Yeah,
but
they can keep up. Production-wise, they can keep up.
But they were looking at it, and a lot of people said, "Hey, that'd be amazing, great. We can get this JLA Avengers crossover, and they could do this, and they could do this." And immediately we start thinking about all the great possibilities. But then you start thinking, okay, if a studio does not have competition, and trust me, I'm a capitalist. I'm a big fan of capitalism, and I think competition breeds the best in us. If you're not trying to outdo somebody else, I mean, what level of story are we going to end up getting? We're going to get the same story every year, because why not? What do they care? There's nobody out there that's going to, who's going to take the next mantle? Some people said Image. Image doesn't really compete with Marvel. No one really competes with Marvel. DC does, because they're Coke and Pepsi. Dr. Pepper is not competing with Coke.
I look at it more as McDonald's or Pepsi. Burger King.
McDonald's, Burger King, great analogy. Except
it doesn't matter. It's the same analogy.
No, it's not though. It's not though, because honestly, you don't have. I mean, you have Wendy's would be considered a competitor for
Wendy's is image.
I don't think Wendy's is though. That's my point. I don't. I see Coke and Pepsi and nothing else in terms of the soda market. You have Dr. Peppers, you have Sprites, you have things like that, but they are so different. They don't make the exact same.
They're not heavyweights. They're not heavyweight champions.
Yeah, but they also Coke and Pepsi are the exact same drink. There's no difference, right?
Flavor-wise.
Wendy's is the exact same meal as a Burger King and a Wendy's. Image is not the same meal as a Marvel or DC. Like, it's just not. It's got me hungry now, but it's not.
30 minutes talking about how the industry is falling apart.
Yeah.
So, come on. Like if we marry them all together, so in the hopes of having some kind of glorious, battle royale of characters that never really were supposed to share the same air, right? Once you do that blowout, let's say you do it to Endgame proportions, right, where it's that well received, not the quality of the Endgame itself, but just to be that, universally lauded as, an achievement. Once you do that,
right,
even if it does that well, that's your wad. It's gone. That's your Sunday punch.
That drunken orgy seems like a good idea. But you gotta wake up in the morning and and
everybody's sick,
in the mirror
and everybody and your marriage is over, and everything is over. I mean, look, it was a great night, but that night is not worth it.
We're back. We got the retro energy. I knew we could do it. I knew we could. All right, when we come back, we'll go spinning the racks. I'm everything my 19-year-old self fought hard to not be.
Yes, you are
It's like 19-year-old self is like,
you've become what you hate. You've become the enemy.
19-year-old self, don't sell out. 39-year-old self is like,
sell out every night.
Out. Like, sell it out, baby.
First sign of trouble. Sell out.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. Just a reminder, Secrets of the Sire is going rogue. We've been teasing this for the last couple weeks. Next week, you will get your full answer as to what that exactly means. Are we going to find out
next week what the
We're going to find out. Yes.
What the secret of the society?
The secrets of, no, the Sire, there's no secret. The secret is go buy my comic book, The Sire. That's everyone keeps asking me what the secret is. That's the secret.
The secret is that there is no secret. That
the secret is issue 11 will be coming out to Kickstarter the next couple months, and volume 3 will be hitting by the end of the year. That's my publishing goals. But the secrets of the Sire going rogue. We'll find out next week.
What could that be?
Oh, it's monumental, hopefully. If not, it's the end of everything. All right, we do this every week. We go spinning the racks.
Spin the rack, spin that rack.
We did it. We talked mainly comics today, so I thought for Spin the Racks we could actually flip the script a little bit, and we'll talk a little TV here. Walking Dead returns to higher ratings as the Walking Dead mid-season premiere. It drew 3.5 million viewers, this is according to Hollywood Reporter, the most for the show since the season 10 opener in October. It grew by 9% over the same-day viewership from the fall finale and rose by double digits in adults 25 to 54. For all of the talk of the end of Walking Dead and the ratings declines, it's not obviously nearly what it was when it was averaging 14, 15 million viewers. It is still the top title in ad-supported cable. So it is still it has never given up its title as top series on ad-supported cable. So the rumors that Walking Dead is done.
I don't like Walking Dead at all.
Yeah.
That's not true. That's a little harsh. I don't like Walking Dead. I don't watch Walking Dead. But I have never been dumb enough to say that show is done. I'm done with it. But I've never ever
my
once intimated that show is finished.
I watched my first episode in over a year. I'm on season 9, episode 3. I vow to get through season 9 before season 10 ends. Supposedly very good. Supposedly kind of.
I heard that, but I mean, we've been hearing that they've had a resurgence since right around the time Rick left.
Yeah.
People were talking about, look, it's come back and it's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
So good for the show.
Yeah, I want to like it. I want to like it again. I don't know if I'll ever love it again, but
you gonna talk about Bob Iger?
We could mention Bob Iger. I actually had that in my notes for last segment, but it never seemed to kind of come up. Yeah, Bob Iger will be replaced by Bob Chapek. It's the next CEO. He'll be succeeding Bob Iger.
Bob Iger's not really leaving.
He's assuming the role of executive chairman and will lead the board through his contract's end on December 2021. He will also lead all creative development at Disney. So yeah.
So he's turned into Walt Disney. He's become Walt Disney.
Yes. He
Bob
also
Chapek is going to be the slave master.
Correct.
Correct. Who's going to crack the whip around there and be told what kind of be the proxy king.
Correct.
But in name only.
The big thing about this is how sudden it came. However, he talked to the New York Times. He said the succession moves were only abrupt in other people's eyes because we haven't been talking about it publicly. The company considered whether to name Chapek COO, but I did not believe that would bestow on him any kind of autonomy that I wanted him to have during the transition. So he essentially, I guess, big news for folks out there who really care deeply about the industry. Who's doing what, but
as the album cover says, good news for people who love bad news.
Yeah, exactly.
but I mean, look, it depends. If Bob Iger is not really leaving, if he's going to be in creative control, that doesn't really mean anything's going to change. In 2 years,
essentially, it's 2021.
Right. So I mean, in the immediate future, that doesn't mean much is going to change.
And look, so far, why would we want it to? Right.
There's people in the Star Wars camp who might want a lot of things to change.
That's a good point. That's good. Well, great segue though. These are the Baby Yoda toys you're looking for. That was my second story. Did you fall in love with the Lego Baby Yoda revealed at Toy Fair? Hasbro has released last week at Toy Fair, Baby Yoda action figures, an animatronic edition of the Child. He may look like Baby Yoda, but this lovable creature is called the Child, and now you can become its protector with this animatronic toy from Star Wars. You can get all kinds of Baby Yoda toys, everything you wanted, everything you were hoping to get by Christmas.
I will have to have one sit next to my baby.
So, look, even you're a devout Star Wars fanatic. You have big problems with Disney Star Wars.
Old Star Wars fanatic.
And Baby Yoda is still the best thing that's ever happened. So
I don't know if it's the best thing that ever happened, but it is fantastic.
It really is, right?
I don't know if I could call it the best thing, but it is pretty fit. It's just an image. It's an image that works every time. Like every time they used him for a comedic beat, it was like, wow, it's actually annoying how effective Baby Yoda was.
Lightning in a bottle, man. Lightning in a right.
He hoped that the Porgs would be.
Yeah.
I mean, what he tried to accomplish with the Porgs were accomplish 3 seconds by taking Yoda and making him really young and small.
Yeah.
And done. It didn't even take. It didn't even take ingenuity to do it. And we were like, we're all on board.
I've never seen something so universally loved.
What's his name? Who was the actor who played the Stormtrooper kept smacking Baby Yoda?
Oh gosh, he was hated. Sudeikis, right?
Yeah, Sudeikis. He was taking heat on Twitter for being. Come on, come on, people.
Yes,
I mean that's how Baby Yoda. Yeah, he's in the zeitgeist, man. Baby Yoda goes nowhere. He goes nowhere.
See, Hassan, this just proves I have the pulse of what people want to talk about and listen to. You're talking about Bob Iger, who I mentally checked off my list of things to talk about as we were talking because I'm like, no one cares about that. Baby Yoda. Our ratings just went up. Our likes and our views just skyrocketed because we're talking Baby Yoda.
Alrighty then.
Next week, we reveal what going rogue means for Secrets of the Sire. You don't want to miss it.